Now, this lesson is about dilations in the coordinate plane. So instead of just talking about like the lengths and just making it bigger, here we're going to deal with the coordinates when you're on an XY grid. Now, we're going to dilate a variety of shapes here. We're going to do some points, we'll do some lines, and just remember what's going on. If you dilate, you're multiplying the original. Scale factor, like I said before, it's usually K. If the number is bigger than 1, you're making it bigger. If it's a fraction in between 0 and 1, you're making it smaller. You're shrinking it down. Now, something we haven't talked about, if we dilate a line or a line segment, since you're just making it bigger, it's going to be parallel. Now, one thing we didn't talk about is the center of dilation. You can kind of think of this kind of like maybe, a projector, and there's the film or something, and there's the image. So as you dilate something through a center, it gets bigger along that direction, like we have in this diagram. Now, when it's centered at the origin, and the vast majority of everything we're going to do is centered on the origin, it's really, really easy. All you do is you just multiply the coordinates by the factor. So A, 0, 2, A prime is 0, times 2 is 0, 2 times 2 is 4. B prime, negative 8, comma 0. C prime, 6, comma 8. Really easy. So A prime 0, 4, there's A prime. Yeah, where B prime is negative 8. 8. C prime 6, comma 8. How could we verify? Well, we could do the distance formula. We're not going to do that now. And this right here, this just restates kind of what I had said before. All you got to do, multiply the coordinates when it's centered on the origin. When it's not centered on the origin, you have to do some measurement or count boxes. That's not really going to come up this lesson. It doesn't really come up all that much. Now, anyway, number 2. Which of the following is the image of negative 4, comma 10 after reflection in line y equals x? Oh, well, it's been a long time since we've done that. The rule for that, if you don't remember, is just swap x and y. So we're going to swap that first. Then a dilation with scale factor 3/2. So all I'm going to do now is just multiply both of those numbers by 3/2. If you need a calculator, don't forget. Ooh, can't see that, can you? The glare. Alpha y equals 3/2. There we go. And then same idea. Negative 4 times 3/2 is negative 6. All right. This time we're going to dilate a line segment. We're centered at the origin still, so that's good. And hey, they already gave us the coordinates here, so we don't have to worry about that. So we'll just do some multiplication here. Scale factor of 3. So negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. 4 times 3, 12. And then B prime 12, comma 6. We're just multiplying. So A prime, let's see, negative 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then 12 comma 6. And I don't know if I have a ruler. Here we go. This will work. There. Now it says find the slope. We'll just do this by counting. To find the slope, it's rise over run. So the original's down 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now for this one, let's see, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Divide those both by 3 or type it in to reduce if you want. Same thing. We already knew that. We talked about that when we did dilations and when we did like proportional figures there. The angles and the slope do not change. Everything is just made bigger in proportion. We'll skip this. We don't need to do the distance formula. So that was a line segment. Line segment, you just multiply the endpoints by whatever the scale factor is. Now, a line, we just said the slope stays the same. So what you do, we'll solve for y here. So minus 5x minus 5x. I want the 5x first. Negative 5x plus 12. Divide by 3. That's a slope. I'll leave it as negative 5 over 3. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4. So here, we just said the slope stays the same. This is the y-intercept. It's 4 up on the y-axis. Now, we just learned when you dilate a point, you just multiply it by the scale factor. So we're going to leave the slope the same. Then half times 4, half of 4 is 2. Oops. Done. So when you have a line, like a y equals mx plus b line, maybe you solve it for y, maybe you don't have to. Leave the slope the same, but multiply the y-intercept. And that's when it's centered about the origin. Now, we'll talk about this again at another point, but basically, if a line goes through the center of dilation, like if the center of dilation is on the existing line, it just doesn't change it. It just doesn't change it at all. But most of the time, we got to worry about when the center is not on the line. So you multiply the y-intercept, leave the slope alone. All right. Now, just to go over that again. When the center is on the origin, all you got to do is multiply the coordinates. So let's list them out here. V is 1, 2. Remember, it's x, y. U is -2, -2. W is 2 negative 2. So V prime, all we got to do is multiply by 2, centered on the origin, which most of them are. Most everything we're going to worry about centered on the origin. So we get 1 times 2 is 2. And again, we're doing this one right now. And then 2 times 2, 4. U, negative 4, you just multiply. W, 4, negative 4. So here's 2, 4 for V prime. And then U prime, negative 4, U prime. And then W is 4, negative 4. W prime. Number 2. So this time, we're not dilating just in a line segment on the grid with coordinates. This is an entire y equals mx plus b line. Well, I say y equals mx plus b, but nope. We got to solve the y. This should be pretty easy, though. All you got to do is divide by 2. And these are all whole numbers. That's not too bad. And then just remember, like I said, like we've been saying, angles, slope is kind of like the angle of the tilt. The slope and the angles don't change when you dilate in proportion. So the slope stays the same. Three times 3, 9. Sorry, you said like 8 times the slope stays the same. Anyway, slope stays the same. There we go. Now we'll multiply the y-intercept. 4 times 3, 12. Now in class, there's also going to be a little bit of practice on just these, maybe 2 each of those type of questions. And then there's a practice quiz. There's going to be a quiz tomorrow.